Welcome back. Today's video we're going to look at options available to you in Google Drive when working with existing folders or files. And the way you can access those options is really twofold. I can click on them and this set of tools will become available, and these are all things that are available to me for this particular selection. And as you can see, the same applies to clicking on a file. My other option would be to right-click and use a drop-down menu. So these same options are available, it's just organized a little differently. Let's start by using the top menu to see what that's like. So I'm going to click on my test folder. This first option is to get a shareable link. And then once you do so, this becomes generally shared, and we're going to look in another video specifically about permissions and the different ways they can be applied and what that means. But for right now, know that that shareable link option is available simply by clicking that button. This is a relatively new feature, and that we can turn that off. If we've turned it on, we can turn it off simply by using this toggle. So you can see now the little man has gone away. Let's try that one more time. Get shareable link. It automatically shares it. And you can see that the little icon has changed to include this little person. That means it's shared in some way. If I want to remove that, several ways, but I can click this button again and turn it off. Now, by the way, this is the actual link here. So I can either just email this out to somebody and they'll be able to access it, or I can go further into sharing settings from here. And we're going to look at that in a separate video because it's an area that tends to be a little problematic for students. Getting the sharing or permissions just right. So we'll come back to that. And for right now, I'm going to turn off the sharing for that. Okay, this is an alternate method of sharing, and it's going to bring you to a place where either I can get a shareable link, and that's the same thing that I did here, exactly the same, or I can invite people directly with their email addresses, and I can give them various permissions. So again, we'll go over this in detail in another video, but just know that this is bringing you to sharing but giving you different options. Okay, there is a trash can. So if I no longer want this file, I simply click the trash can to remove it, and it's gone. Okay, if that was a mistake, I can come to my trash, go to last modified, I can click on it, and now my menu has changed. I can trash it again, and if I trash it again, it's gone. I'm not going to get it back. Or I can use this restore from trash. Alternately, I could have, of course, right-clicked and gotten the same options. And you can see that the trash can at this level is delete forever. So you're not going to get a second chance if you do it from within trash. Okay, let's look at our other options. 3 dots always mean more actions or more options. So if I click on that, you can see that I could open this with, and I don't have any options there because sometimes files can be opened by multiple programs, and that option would be available to you. But this is a folder, so it doesn't really apply. We've looked at move to in a previous video, so this is another place I can access that. I can add a star to it. And if I do add a start to it, it's just marking it as something important. And when I click on start, it's going to allow me to just filter and see only those things that are starred. If I don't like that, I can come back and remove star. I can change the color. Okay, so if color coding is very important to your organizational strategy, then this is a great place to do it. It makes it a little easier to find, especially if you've used that as a systematic approach throughout your Google Drive. I can use this to rename the folder. So another very important part of organization is using good intuitive names. I can view some details about it. So basically this is giving me my activity over the last little while. So I created it. I created items in it. I moved items to it. I moved 3 items to the trash. I restored those items. So you can see, and the other tab will give you details, which is a little bit of information: when it was last modified, when it was created, when it was opened, who the owner is, etc. And I can also add a description down here if I want. I've never really found need to do this, but perhaps someone will. So if you want to leave some notes to yourself, this is where you could do it. So there you go. And that's just going to be viewable here. You know, when I'm clicked on something else, I'm not going to see it, but when I click on it, if I need to leave myself some notes, I can do it there. Okay, my last option is to download. So if I download a folder, it's going to put it, you can see it says zipping, and it's going to take the folder, whatever contents are in there, and create it as a single file. You can then download that file, and of course you'd have to unzip it. So I can save it right there. So if you haven't been through this process before, you can see it's just taking a moment. Once it's downloaded, you can open it up and see it in its file. But if you want to get those unzipped, you're going to use Extract All. You can select an alternate destination if you'd like, but I'm going to put it right here in this same place. And I'm going to extract it. And now these are the actual files and folders that were contained in that zipped archive. Now, if you're curious, that's now on my desktop, by the way, so I brought that down to my computer. If you're curious as to why things are zipped, it's simply because it makes the total package smaller in file size, and so it speeds the download. It also preserves your organizational structure, so instead of having to download a folder and another folder and then the contents of the folder and getting those reorganized, using a zipped file makes that whole process a lot easier. Okay, those are the options that are available to you through the menu up here, at least on folders. And if I right click, I would find, I'm not going to go through them all, but you can see that not only are the same options available here, they're more or less ordered in the same way. If I were to come down to a file, this is a flowchart from Lucidchart, you can see that some of my options have changed because there are certain things that perhaps Google Drive is not going to be able to do with this file type. So I'm not getting a download option here. There's a number of options I'm not getting. However, if I was working with, here's a Word file, you can tell by the W. Oh, I've got some additional options. I can make a copy of it here. I can manage versions of it. Let's take a look at that. So I can upload a new version. Google Drive will let you do something unusual, and that would be to upload another file with exactly the same name. So myspaceproposal.docx. And if you're like in a Windows or Mac environment, it doesn't like you to name things exactly the same, and it will prompt you to either overwrite them or rename them. But the Google environment is a little unique in the fact that you can have multiple things with the same name. And if you're uploading files, you've got to be really careful about that because it can get very confusing very quickly. There are also native Google Drive formats, such as this is Sheets, this is Forms, this is a Doc, and we may have a slide presentation in here somewhere. But of course, when you're working with a native format for Google, let's try this one. and I go to download that, notice it's converting to Word. So it's not going to download. The only place you can use a Google Doc is within Google Docs. So there might be some slight variations into what happens or what options are available to you depending on the file type or whether you're selected on a file or a folder. That concludes the tutorial on how to generally work or options available to you with folders and files, and we'll continue exploring Google Drive in our next video.